We are happy to announce the release of our latest book, Overcoming Mediocrity, Epic Women. This book features 17 women who know what it's like to disrupt the status quo and overcome challenges that, at the time, seemed impossible to face. Yet they did. They were epic. And they're sharing their stories of courage, strength, and perseverance with you today. Plus, this incredible book also includes free gift downloads and buckets of wisdom as these experts share tips on how they've become successful in impacting the world in such a powerful way. Tips you can apply to your life today. Visit ombook.org to get your very own copy.
Hey there, I am Christie Ruffino, former broke single mom turned CEO of 2 six-figure businesses and best-selling author with 15 books. But it wasn't always like this. Not long ago, I was a hot mess. Yes, I did a lot of things right, but mostly I was throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what would stick. Fast forward past many failed attempts and a few incredible victories, I not only get to share what I've learned along the way, I get to bring together top influencers as they share their empowering stories, insider secrets, and valuable resources that can be used right now to step into your power. So, if you're an ambitious entrepreneur, or possibly one in the making, and you're looking to create a business and life that lights you up, well then you're in the right place. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mastery Unleashed podcast. This is Christie Ruffino, and we are on episode 2 of our 3-part series where I have the pleasure of interviewing amazing women who have all decided to share their stories in our Overcoming Mediocrity, Epic Women book. So welcome, ladies. I'm excited for you to all be here.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So I have gotten to know all of you guys over the last few months, and you all have incredible stories, but we're going to go one by one. So our audience has a chance to get to know you as well. So let's start with you, Dr. Katrina. I know you have a very long, successful career, and you have your passion project, which is really one of the reasons why you decided to be in our book. So can you share with the audience your story and why you decided that you wanted to join us in this project?
So I have been a physician since 2002. I was 14 months old in 1975 when my family and I escaped communist Vietnam. And in this book, the title of my chapter is From Poverty to Generosity. I really wanted to share the story of how I was a refugee, but I became a physician and founded a nonprofit to fight childhood obesity. So I want to inspire people knowing that don't allow your past to define you, allow it to refine you, and that you don't have to think about generational poverty, but you can actually come from poverty and provide success, use the success you have to provide prosperity to your community.
Great. So you are a speaker. You share on different stages about your passion project, and you have kind of an action plan for the readers once they hear your story, once they hear you speak, to actually do something. What is that?
So part of my action plan is actually a free gift to people who read my chapter in my book, and it's 3 steps to becoming a healthier you. And it's 3 steps that are very easy, but very people do it. And it involves activity, nutrition, and it's about wellness. So I look forward to sharing that with people. Just taking 5 minutes to read it, and it'll change your life.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. You have another passion project with your nonprofit, and we have a little bit of time. So can you share a little bit about that?
So my nonprofit is called Faithful, the number two in fitness. It was formed November 6, 2014, with the mission to help reverse the childhood obesity epidemic in America. And it started locally here in Rockford, Illinois. And this year in August, we have our 8th annual 5K called Fight Obesity, Walk With Me. What we do is we provide 12-week programs 2 to 3 times a year and help families overcome barriers such as financial, knowledge, educational, motivational factors that prevent them from developing a healthier lifestyle. So we target children ages 7 to 18, but we require parents and guardians to be involved. And it's all about prevention and doing everything as a family. Our goal is to carry this nonprofit from Loves Park, Illinois to other cities all across America.
Right. And if somebody wants to learn a little bit about that effort and how they could possibly have, that type of a project going in their community, what would they do?
They would just go to faithfultofitness.org and just send me a message, contact me, and I can be a speaker, come out to share that with their community and put together the community partners to make it happen for their community.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dr. Katrina, for not only being with us today on the show, but for being brave enough to share your incredible story in the pages of our book.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. The next author that I want you all to meet is Tracy Eisenman. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you, Christy. I'm really happy to be here today.
Yeah. So you have an incredible story, and that has kind of led you on a specific career path. So do you want to share with the audience what that's all about?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Well, if you weren't as so fortunate as to grow up with Dr. Katrina's program and you find yourself a middle-aged woman that doesn't feel her best, isn't in maybe as good a shape as she might want to be, or doesn't have wellness high on her priority list because maybe she's taking care of her parents or her children, we get sucked into this lifestyle that doesn't include ourselves a lot of the time as we age. And what I bring to the table is, and what's a passion for me, is to be able to help women to get their sexy back, to start to feel great again about who they are. And it's focused on nutrition and exercise. Like Dr. Katrina said, these are the basic building blocks of health and wellness. And sometimes we just don't know where to find that information. So I can help people identify what it is that they're missing in their daily routines and create new routines, disrupt their lifestyle, and create a new lifestyle that will carry them through to the end of their life and live a healthy last few years of their life.
Perfect. And so what is your story? Like, how did you get to be passionate about this?
Well, a lot of it came out of COVID. Remember COVID? So when we went to bread to comfort ourselves, so making bread every day, eating bread every day, feeling comfortable, not noticing what's happening to our stomach, maybe because we've been wearing yoga pants for the last 3 years. That is pretty much where I found myself. And I had all the tools to be able to recreate my health, my life. And so I use myself as a guinea pig to get back into ultimate health. And I used my degree in biology and chemistry and a connection with doctors and geneticists that can look at DNA and identify exactly what foods we should be eating uniquely to ourselves. And that led me to create this boutique program that women can come into and within a matter of 6 months redirect the path of their life so that they can live a viable life as they age.
Yeah. And you were sharing with me the pivotal moment when you, I think it was your son's graduation, and you saw yourself and you decided, okay, enough is enough.
That's exactly what it was. And the first 3 times I looked at the picture, I only looked at him with his cords and his medals, and he was highly decorated at this university and actually did the speech for the commencement that year. And then I looked at it again and I looked like I was actually like 6, 7 months pregnant. And it shocked me. And I think that's where we find this is when we look at photos, that's when we realize exactly how far out of shape we've gotten. And the mirror doesn't always do us justice, but those photos definitely tell the story. And that was my pivotal point that made me just buckle down. And it only took me a couple months because I'm dedicated, but I think I know I can get other people there in 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw a picture of you on social media a couple days ago with two bodybuilders, and you look like a little twig in between these two big, like Hulk men. But it looks like you have like a six-pack ab there, Tracy.
Well, it's maybe a 4-pack, but it's
Oh,
getting there.
well, either way,
Thanks,
great,
Christy.
great job. And you do have a little free gift that you're sharing with people when they read your story. What is that?
I do. When you get the book and you go to my chapter, you can get a checklist that helps you find what mental blocks are keeping you from being where you need to be as far as ultimate health and wellness.
Nice,
It's called
nice.
Supercharge Your Sexy.
Ooh, I like that. Love that title. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Tracy, for being with us today and for being brave to share your inspirational story.
Thank you, Christy.
Okay. Well, next we have Kim Falco. Kim, we've known each other for quite a while, many, many years in the local networking arena. And I am just really honored that you trusted me to work with me to help share your story, because you've gone on a journey and you are passionate about, or you decided to share your story because you're passionate about helping other women who are maybe in the same situation that you were and that you came out on the other side. So, can you give our audience some highlights of your story?
Absolutely. Thank you, Christy, for having me. It's wonderful to be a part of this book and these wonderful women sharing their stories. Um, I wanted to share my story, as you said, to help have an opportunity to help someone out there that may be struggling with a challenge or maybe a new opportunity coming up that they thought that they couldn't handle or they weren't qualified for, but something that was maybe they couldn't overcome. You know, my story is about a life-changing pivotal moment when I was a young mother. I had survived an abusive marriage, and I was left a single mother with 4 small children. I was ill, very ill, and I was really in a health and emotional crisis at that time. I had lost faith in myself. I had lost faith in God. And I was really at my rock bottom, if you can be in that sort of spot at 29. I wondered how I got there. You know, when I was young, I was very accomplished, driven, confident, goal oriented, and here I found myself in this life, this trap. I was able to get out of that situation, but I became very ill, and I couldn't find a way to heal myself. I was really losing hope that I was going to be able to be a mom. And so you know, I just had this moment and I could just honestly feel God reaching out to me. And, you know, I knew I had to get up and make a change. I knew I had to do something where I was going to lose everything. You know, 4 little babies under 10 years old at 29. It was a daunting situation. But then I thought, you know, I had to get up. God made me get up. And then I realized, well, I had all of these accomplishments. I had been so driven. I had had all of these things before I was sort of kind of crushed in this situation. And I thought, "Well, how did I get all those things? How did I drive myself? You know, how did I find my mindset when I was a gymnast? How did I backflip on a beam? How did I win those medals? How did I win awards? How did I lead people?" So I had to write it all down. And I looked at it and I thought, well, this is sort of my bucket. I was able to, you know, find a new doctor, a holistic doctor, heal myself. I found my faith again. So I overcame that situation, and I've sort of used that kind of strategy and formula, as you say, my bucket formula for all things going forward. You know, every challenge I've ever had, and I've had many, But that was for sure a turning point in my life. And I feel like if God didn't reach out to me that day, I don't know where I would have been. I mean, it was a low point in a young woman's life. And, I'm blessed. I'm so grateful. I've leapt many times into new situations, and all I can remember is that I always poured out this bucket, this stuff, because we have all this stuff in our head, something comes along and you're like, then if it's in your head, then you start to self-doubt, and you have that sort of negative talk that you do. But if you write it down and you look at it, you can see just like how accomplished you are, and how amazing you are, and how many skills you have. And that's kind of what my story is about. It's this bucket that I've been using all this time. It's sort of your experiential, um, list of things that carry you along. When you look at it, it's facts, right? It's not like stuff in your head. I always think of it as like when I read a recommendation someone makes, writes about me, and I look at it and I'm like, wow. And then I'm like, wow, I am awesome, right? It's that same feeling. You want to be able to put that in writing, even if it's from you. It's your list of accomplishments, people, experiences. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with people, is that, no matter what is in front of you, if you just look at the skills, you have them. You actually can overcome anything.
That is so good. I remember when I shared my story of overcoming a similar kind of situation. I only had 2 children, and they were just a little over 10. So I can't imagine having 4 kids under 10. That had been very challenging as a single parent to navigate their needs and your career so you can pay the bills, because like, I'm sure you didn't want to work, but you had to work. And I'm sure there was a lot of juggling that in a lot of things that you had to kind of put aside that you wanted and you needed. So I give you a lot of credit. You made it through. And more importantly, just like when I went through my situation, now you're able to share your story to help other people. And so I'm hoping you're as blessed as I was, where you have somebody reach out to you and thank you, like actually reach out and thank you for sharing your story, because it helped them. And that's when it makes it all worthwhile. And that's when you're making a difference. And even if somebody doesn't reach out to you, that people are reading your story, they're hearing your story, and they're not feeling as alone. They're feeling more empowered, and they're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, because you got through it, and so can they. So I definitely want to thank you for being vulnerable, because I know you had it was anytime
It was
we
hard
are,
to
yeah.
relive it. Yes, it was a struggling time, I must say, to have just even brought that piece of it into the story. But I'm grateful that you actually guided me through that and got me to that point to say that that was the story that I needed to tell. And all the one piece I just have to say to people is to really just put that in writing. Put all the things you do every day in writing. Track your bucket, fill your bucket every day. Who do you meet? What skill did you learn? Some tidbit you learned. Always be learning and filling your bucket, and you'll have all the tools you need going forward. It's not always going to be easy, but you'll have the tools.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what was the one piece of advice. So that's great advice, is to start your bucket list, or your bucket resource of your memories that you can write down and then make them tangible, because you can see them, you can read them, you can touch them, you can feel them. So that's great advice, Kim. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone. Thank you, Christie, for all the work you do. I really appreciate being involved in this opportunity, this project, and all the great women you help along the way. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So next we have Kathleen Shaw. Welcome, Kathleen. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, you have quite a journey as well, and you are very experienced with children. And I know what you do in your career is, God, I put my hat off to you every day, because you have a daycare center.
Yes.
And to just be able to make an impression in the lives of our youth is, I think, it's like a teacher, right? Like, the more we can shape our future children, or the children's future, so they could become well-adjusted adults. I think that's really one of the biggest goals that we should have in life. So, but you have an amazing story. So I would love to invite you to share your story with our audience.
I do. My story started very differently from most people. I was adopted when I was 3 months old, and it was something that I've always known all my life. I um, never really questioned it much until later on in life when I wondered why I just never really fit in, and I wanted to know why. And I finally found my place with children. And I think that's because I never really had the childhood that most children have. I never felt connected to my adoptive family. I didn't know why I was adopted. And I've always been drawn to children and to animals. And I think it's just the innocence of both of them. And I never wanted another child to feel left out and disconnected like I did. So, because of that, I wanted to be around for my own children, and I went to college and studied family studies with my or not my associates, but my minor in early childhood. So, I started my daycare center, which I've had for 30 years now, and all my children were here. I have three, and they were here when they went to school, and I was here when they came home. And I am very blessed to have them all in my life. With the kids that are here, I've probably had hundreds of kids over the last 30 years come through here. And I feel a need to help parents now because it's not the same as it was when we were growing up. Parenting styles are very different now. I think with having two family income is so needed that children kind of get lost in the shuffle. And I think there's a lot of television, there's a lot of gaming, there's a lot of phone usage, and children get lost. So I want to help parents regain that family orientation that's been lost over the years, and especially since COVID. I know there has been such a drastic difference in the way kids are today, and it just breaks my heart. And I want to reach out and help the parents, which is why I started first with a potty training course. And that has led me to want to do more for parents and helping them because in that course, they've also asked me, well, what about this? And what about that? So now I want to branch out more so that I can help the parents with their children and help the children live a much happier, much more connected life with their families.
Mm, that is definitely so needed. And I know my grandkids, I see what they went through in the last couple of years and how different it is for my daughter to raise them than it was for me to raise my children. And to be able to have somebody with experience and wisdom and resources that you have, I think is so, 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 so needed for our future generation. So I also know you have a special gift for our audience, and they just have to go to your website and get that, and they can get that information by getting your book and reading your story. So give a little teaser about what that free gift is.
My little teaser is 5 tips to learn when you know your child is ready to start potty training, because that is one of the biggest keys to making it successful for both of you.
Mm. So not starting too soon or not starting too late, going right at the time when they're going to embrace the process.
Yes. If it's too soon, then it's going to be a struggle. If it's too late, then they're going to be much more lazy and just not want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I really want to thank you, and I just know that as people read your stories, they're going to be so, so, so inspired.
I hope so. I think I have lots of tips and tricks that I've used over the years that will help them.
Yes, absolutely. And I know we've had a lot of conversations, and I'm really excited to see you get this new program out into the world. So
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Kathleen. Well, now I have the pleasure to introducing you to Patty Larson. Patty was actually introduced to me by another one of our co-authors, Lisa Otto, and Patty has an amazing story, and she just really has a big heart, and she wants to share her particular story to help others. So, Patty, give the audience just a little bit of a taste about what your story is about and what you're sharing with your story.
Okay, and thank you for welcoming me and having me be a part of this project. I cannot tell you how honored I am, and I feel so grateful to be able to share this with my loved ones, friends, family, so on and so forth. Yes, one of the other co-authors had recommended me to the Overcoming Mediocrity series. She actually was a visitor at my place of employment, and she would come and read her story to the ladies that were there, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, it was helpful for them in their recovery, in their healing process, and many of them were actually interested in becoming a part of the project, or a future project. So let me go back. That was a halfway house, and the women were there for addiction and drug counseling. So it was a very unique experience for Lisa. It was a very wonderful experience for me to see what these books are all about. In fact, I had purchased several copies to bring to the halfway house for educational pieces and reading pieces for the girls. So it worked out wonderfully. It was really a great thing. And my personal story is really, it took place over my lifetime. So my adult lifetime, I should say. So I would say it goes from about 18 years old to 60. And I hit on the very important parts of my life that I feel helped me heal and recover and become a very whole person, and brought me to a place of inner peace and contentment, which I think that's what we're all here to look for. So it started when I was 18. I tell a little bit about my background, my family history, how through informal and formal education, I got to the place I am today. And it took a while. I wasn't one of these people that were totally focused. I had a lot of hurdles to cross over. But I did finally accomplish what I wanted to accomplish in life. And being a part of this project, I really felt like, I don't want to say that's the final thing I'm going to do in life, because I hope not. But at 60 plus years old, it was a very nice added thing to my list of accomplishments and a list on my journey.
Yeah.
It pointed out many different stages, my experiences with life, family, work, creating a balance in my life, which is most challenging, I think, for most women. And a lot of women that I worked with in my professional life, tended to lean toward drugs and alcohol because they were constantly trying to attain that balance, or there was things that happened in their life that was so devastating that, genetically and for many other reasons, their environment and so on and so forth, they got involved, and went down that path. And it was quite a task to get them in recovery. And I have to say, throughout the years, I've seen people who do things one day at a time, one step at a time. They get to where they want to be. And so that's what this book is. My chapter in the book, that is where it is taking you. So I think you'll find it interesting. I think you'll find it helpful in life. And if you have a loved one or yourself has a problem with addiction, as well. So there's many different things in there that are of interest.
Perfect. And I know you said that one of our goals is to, in life really, is to find peace, contentment, and balance. And yeah, and that's important, as well as helping other people find the same. And so I'm excited that you're going to have your book to share back at the center and have other people be inspired by your journey.
And, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am about this. That was one
Yeah.
of my biggest motivators to be a part of this, because what I learned, I feel like putting it in writing really is a testimony of that, what you're talking about. So
Yes.
I really want this opportunity to pass it down to my friends, family, people that are in need, and so on and so forth. I think it's just a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. And I really thank you for being brave enough to share it. Because I
Yes,
know there's a bit of vulnerability that we all go through when we
of
share our
course.
stories. But you said yes, and you followed through. And I'm just really blessed, feel blessed that I had the opportunity to work with you.
Yes, and I hope we work together in the future. And I don't know if this is the right time to say, but in the book, I would like the ladies or whoever reads the book, there is 3 tips that are very important to me that I use throughout my life. 3 simple tips that help you to attain that peace, balance, and tranquility that we
All right.
all want so bad. Yeah.
Absolutely. So make sure you buy the book, get a hold of Patty. I'm sure she'd be happy to autograph a copy for you and
Oh.
ship it off in the mail. So thanks a lot, Patty.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us on today's show. We've had amazing guests. This is our second in the 3-part series. So make sure you stay around next week as as I have an opportunity to introduce the rest of the authors. And of course, if you want to meet any of them, please go to our website. Go to the show notes below. You can connect with each of them. We'll have the contact information in there, so you could jump over, get their book, read their stories, get their free gifts. And of course, if you want to learn more about what they do and maybe work with them in some level, the contact information will be in there as well. But in the meantime, I invite you to join us next week as I interview the remaining group of authors. And of course, if you like our show, please go to whatever platform you listen and show us some love. Until then, have a blessed day.
Thanks for listening to the Mastery Unleashed podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams by turning their mess into their greatest message and following their purpose to help the people who need their newfound wisdom and resources. To learn more, visit masteryunleashedpodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review to this show.